Hey, horror fans, once again, it's the Horror Miser Monty G, here to do a recap of last night's season finale of The Purge. Yes. Now, before I begin my recap, just want to let everybody know I have a special live stream coming up this weekend at Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 o'clock Pacific Time for all you West Coast people out there. My special guest will be none other than Deborah Voorhees, star of Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, and we're going to talk about that, talk about some modern horror, and of course she is promoting her new horror picture that she starred and directing in 13th Fanboy. I have an image up there. If you can't make the live stream, if you want to ask any questions to Deborah, please leave it in the comment section below, and I'll give you a shout out and I'll answer the questions. So, enough about that. Let's talk about the season finale of The Purge. Yes. Now, we get this montage of Joe, which is a flashback, by the way, of setting up his little trial thing. He's rigging the doors to the school, the high school. He's setting up the cage to put his people that he's going to kidnap later on that night. While he's setting up the case, there's a screw that he didn't bolt in. This huge bolt he's going to come in. That's going to come into play later. Now, we get back to real time, and he's unfortunately disposed of Jane. Poor Jane. We really love that character. And it's time for Rick and Jenna to be put on trial. Oh, boy. We also get a flashback, finally get a flashback of how these two people met. Apparently, at the time, Rick was trying to get some Purge security for the units that they have for the little property that they're trying to buy. And they hired Joe. Joe was seen to be a nice guy. They come up with a nice contract, and Joe decides to do the work. Unfortunately, as we learn later on, Joe screwed Rick. Rick screwed Joe. I got that backwards. Oh boy, poor Joe. Poor Rick. Always trying to get over. Now, one of the things that Joe always accused Rick of saying that he did not do a shoddy job, and Rick owed them money, and he's put them on trial because of that, and that's the reason why he wants Joe to confess. Jenna is just looking at Rick and plays Rick for the reason that's why you're being here, because you're such an ass. And of course, it doesn't take long before Rick to finally confess and said, "Yes, I did. I cheated you. I was trying to cut corners, and I didn't want to pay you, so I found a loophole in the contract, and so I didn't pay you." Oh man, what an asshole! Meanwhile, Joe the cop and Miguel are trying to figure out a way to get past Rick and the security guys from the Carnival of Flesh, and some nice action scenes that we haven't had in a while. They both easily dispatch of these two guys. One, I think, Pete got garrots one, and Miguel stabs one in the throat. And they go on and hit enough to make it off to the school, and they get there without a problem. Unfortunately, as we saw earlier, Joe has the entire school booby-trapped. How are they going to get in? Well, meanwhile, Joe is telling Jenna, "I'm going to give you a choice. Either you purge your husband," he hands her a gun, "or I'll purge the both of you." He stands there and looks at Jenna, and she points the gun at her husband. Rick is telling her, "Go ahead and do it, and do it, and do it." So Jenna pulls the trigger, but unfortunately the gun is empty. There's no bullets in it. Joe laughs. You think I give you a real loaded gun? No. Meanwhile, remember that boat he didn't secure early in the show? Well, apparently Penelope finds the boat, and she takes it and unscrews it off with ease and unties herself. Uh-oh. Maybe Rick was right. Maybe Joe is not a good security planner. Maybe he did do shoddy work, as he stated before. That's one of the reasons why he cheated him, because he did shoddy work. But we really know. But obviously, it's the imagination to the audience, because obviously, even though he paid everything attention to detail, he obviously missed the bolt that he didn't fasten. So Penelope gets the boat, and she pretends she's going to kill Paige. We almost forgot about her. She's still in there too. Joe, unfortunately, with reckless abandon, decides he's going to go into the cage and not pay attention to Jenna and Rick. Jenna and Rick eventually get loose, And then Penelope, in a very gruesome way, stabs Joe in the eye with the bolt, in real gruesome fashion too. Now, here's the part where I unfortunately don't get. Here you have an opportunity to finally do away with this guy, but instead you decide to run instead of just beat the shit out of him because he's blinded. He fires off some shots, but nobody gets hit because he can't see anything, and so they run off. They separate. Rick and Jenna go one way. Penelope and Paige go another way, and unfortunately, he still has the bolt in his eye, and he has to pull it out in a very disgusting scene too. Oh boy. Meanwhile, right before Miguel and Joe decide to find a way to break into the school, they are shot at by Rex and his security guys. They caught up with him. Boy, that was fast. The school must have been that far. They try to find a way to get inside, and fortunately, they don't seem to find a way to get inside, so they decide to use one of the booby traps against them, which I thought was a brilliant idea on Miguel's part. Meanwhile, back in the school, Penelope and Paige are running. Unfortunately, poor Paige, she triggers off one of the booby traps. Boom! And she hits the floor dead. Oh boy, poor Paige. Penelope decides to run somewhere, and she goes into this place that looks like a swimming pool. Meanwhile, Joe the cop is pleading with Rex. Rex says that there's a bounty on Miguel because what he did at the Carnival of Flesh. But they fools him to a false sense of security, and he triggers out the booby trap. Bam! Blows everyone to smithereens. But as they're about to go into the school, hark, someone's still alive. Could it be Rex? Oh my god, this doesn't look good. So finally we get to the part where Joe and Miguel run into Rick and Jenna. They finally put their guns down as they realize that they're not going to harm anyone. And everything seems to be fine, but and below, there's a security guard that survived the attack. It's not Rex. He shoots at Pete and also shoots at Rick. Oh no, Rick is shot. Joe is shot. Miguel and everyone else make short work of the security guard. Pete the cop's okay, but not Rick. He's shot in the gut, and it doesn't look good for him. Miguel goes on ahead and runs off to find his sister. Well, unfortunately, after a few moments, Rick, he dies. Oh, rest in peace, Rick. We feel sorry for you. But in reality, no, we don't. As we learned throughout the flashbacks, early in the flashbacks, Rick makes this obnoxious story about, hey, it was just business, or the government screws over, we screw you over, so I decided to do the same thing, so what's fair is fair. To be honest, that's really not fair. I mean, whether the guy did shoddy work or not, you just don't not pay the guy. You take him to court. You do the right thing, not just pay the guy. I mean, he could have sued you, but unfortunately, it turns out he did something worse. So, you don't really feel sorry for Rick. He eventually got his just desserts in trying to be greedy. Meanwhile, back in the swimming pool, Penelope tries to get up, but she's blocked by some type of destruction Joe put in front of the door. Her and Joe finally confront each other, and they have this really good, nice conversation about the Purge. Joe says that the Purge makes you a better person. It's going to rid myself of all these problems, and I'm going to do fine. But Penelope throws back at him. Well, if the Purge makes everyone better, why do we continue to do it? Which is pretty good. Unfortunately, when you take a look at Joe and his character, and the scene was done very well by the actress playing Penelope and Lee Turgerson that plays Joe. But when you look at Joe's character, you would think that he would not blame everyone's problems on everyone except himself. No, the fact that he goes after Penelope, as I said, actually just because she didn't say thank you for holding up the door, that's kind of real petty. I mean, if later on, the next year, when he decides to purge again, what's he going to do? If the person steps on his shoes, if they accidentally push him out the way, he's going to purge them too because they did little things to piss him off. It just seems petty. Yeah, and it's a good analogy. It's like, does the purge make you better, or do you just need to make your own self better? Like I said last week, Joe really should have done something to make himself better on his own. He could have gone to school, learn up a trade. could have done something. Unfortunately, he thinks, as he stated before, earlier, all that hope and change bullshit didn't get us anywhere, as he stated before, and in that scene. And right before he's about to shoot Penelope in the head, here comes Miguel. He shoots at Joe, and all of a sudden they think he's dead, but unfortunately he fights back. They have this huge fight. They're about to get it on, but brrr, it's the sirens. Oh no, the purge is over. Joe didn't finish his job. Oh. So, Joe says, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm fine. Not a problem. You and your sister are free to go. But don't fret. I'll get you next year, because I'm going to purge again next year. But Miguel's not having any of it. He takes him and shoots Joe in the chest and in the knee and kicks him in the swimming pool, obviously leading to Joe's death. They leave out the whatchamacallem. Everyone seems to be fine. And Joe Pete, the cop, says, yes, I know you killed Joe, before the sirens rang out. And basically, that's the end of the purge. But wait, we got more. So, we get a 1 year later scenario where, let's see, first of all, Jenna, she's in France with her daughter. I believe she had a daughter. She's in France, and we see in the newsroom about the French people in the EU thinking about maybe they should come up with something similar to the purge that they do in America. We see that Pete the cop, he's still back at his purge night bar. And we see Penelope and Miguel are about to head out to save survivors and rescue the innocents. And that's basically how the story ends of this first season of The Purge. Now, my overall view of this season, it was okay. It wasn't bad. There were some very uninteresting moments in The Purge. I would say between episodes 5 and 7. Where the kind of story, especially Penelope and Miguel's story, kind of dragged on a bit. To me, it wasn't really enough about action in this movie. I mean, in this series, I should say. I think that's one of the things that we loved about the Purge movies is the action that it has involved and the vicious killings that some people do to each other. I think that was kind of missing in this show, but I know this is television, so some of the stuff that you can do in the movies, you really can't get away with it in television. But hey, look, if you can throw F-bombs on USA, I'm pretty sure you can almost get away with anything. But overall, I enjoyed the season. I thought it was pretty good. It had some very interesting characters. Like I said, I love the three-way between Rick, Jenna, and Lila. I love Jane, her character, and what she went through. And she tried to stay true to her morals. And hopefully next year, because this show is coming back next year, there will be a season 2 of The Purge, that they will come back with new characters, a new setting, and not do the same mistakes that they did this season. Try to have some interesting characters, and try to have some more action too. And a different setting and different characters will also see how does The Purge affect other areas of the United States. So, my horror fans, what do you think about this season of The Purge? Did you enjoy it? Did you love this particular version, or would you prefer the movies? Leave your comments down in your comment section below and tell me what you thought about this show, The Purge. Well, that's my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and share because it does help the channel out a lot. And once again, if this is your first time here, please hit that subscriber button, ring that notification bell, that way you can come and enjoy the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. And as always, all my social media links will be down in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, horror rules. I will see you guys later. I'm out.
Coming for